All right, guys, today we're taking a look at the Arcade1up Atari Pub Table, the Pong table, as you're seeing here. I just received this today, been playing with it since I received it, and I definitely have some things to say about this as far as the quality and kind of what I think they kind of changed that they told us they were going to do, and they didn't do. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
All right, so first thing we got to talk about is the actual arcade machine, of course. And this was actually really easy to build 99% of the way. Obviously, this is not like their other Arcade1up machines. There's no bottom piece to build or anything like that. And you would think that it would be just as hard because of the nature of how big this thing is, but no, this was really easy to build, faster than the other ones, with one caveat. Not something I can show you because of it's already in there, but underneath the screen there's like a groove that goes around the whole entire screen, and they, for some reason, I don't know if it's to protect water damage, I'm not 100% sure, I'm assuming it's for water damage, that you basically put on inside the wood, and it's kind of like a black lining that goes across the whole entire thing. That thing is a huge pain in the ass to get into the grooves of the whole entire thing. If it wasn't for that, it would have been the easiest Arcade1up machine I've ever built. But because of that, with the groove thing, and it took me like 15 minutes, and I didn't even get it in, quote unquote, correctly. It's kind of like in its position, but it wasn't all the way in because it was really hard to get that black lining all the way across in. But I think it's for water protection. But to be honest, guys, here's where we're gonna get into it. I like the way the cabinet looks. It's exactly what we expected it to. Height-wise, it literally goes up right to my stomach. Just like a bar top table would, if you're familiar with a bar top. I think it's the perfect height. I'm 6 feet tall, and I reach the controls perfectly, and I have no issues at all. So I think the height is perfect, and it's exactly what I would want it to be for a table like this. And like I said, I really like the design. You can see that the Pong side is on this side, and then this is on this side. And if we flip it around the other way, we have this logo on here, and then of course this is the back where it has the Arcade1up usual logo that they usually put on these things. Now, one of my major complaints, and I think they kind of fooled us all, because I know I watched interviews about this pub table when they were talking about it before it was released, and it's kind of crazy that they changed their mind, because if you guys remember, if you watched their interviews back a few months ago about this table when they were talking about it, you remember that there's supposed to be a plexiglass on here. Well, as you can see, there is none. There is no plexiglass to protect this thing at all. Like, their other machines have, like Miss Pac-Man, where there's a plexiglass on here. On this one, nothing. No plexiglass at all. I don't know what their reasoning was. They obviously had plans to do it because they talked about it, and I'm pretty sure I even saw it in one of their earlier images on their website, which I can't find anymore when I looked them up. But I know they definitely talked about it because they were like, oh, you could put drinks on this thing and, put a drink over here and it will have the plexiglass to protect it from water and stuff. Well, that is definitely not the case here, because this will definitely get damaged really quickly. Maybe not on the first spill, but on spill 2 and 3, it's definitely going to, get some damage. And again, the damage is probably not going to do anything to the actual screen because they do have the grooves in there that I talked about with the black lining. So if water gets underneath here, it's probably just going to drip to the side and to the actual floor. So I don't think the screen itself will ever get damaged, but this artwork will 100% get damaged. There's nothing protecting it like they were originally going to do. And you know how I know? Because it's already damaged right from the factory. I don't know how hard it is, how easy it is for you guys to see there. Because it's hard for me to actually put that in there, but on the corners here, as I go back to the sides there, you can see that there's some damage to the edges of the whole entire thing, basically almost across the whole entire side here, where the screen lines up. It has some damage where you can see some of the actual paint coming off right here to the actual corners. And here's probably the biggest piece right there that's missing, but you can see that there's damage there. So that obviously tells me that obviously water damage is, even if they have some sort of like water sealant that they painted this with, if that's even what they did, I don't know, obviously, it's still gonna peel off eventually. I mean, like, again, I can see it there already just from the factory, and The fact that they cheaped out on the plexiglass is not not cool in my mind. I think they've should have put in the effort. I don't know what their reasoning is. Maybe we'll get a reasoning one day from them, but I would have definitely liked to see it. They obviously had plans to do it, and they went away from it because they talked about it in interviews, and then this came in, and there's no plexiglass on it at all. So we'll see how long this lasts. I'll keep you guys up to date. If you guys follow me on YouTube and stuff, I won't do a separate video or anything, more than likely, because that will be a waste of a video, but I'll put it in, if you guys are following on my community feed, I'll post in there as this gets played, if there's damage that keeps going on it from just people's hands resting on it and stuff. There does feel like there is some sort of sealing on here, like a little plastic, like, I don't know what, like, it feels like it's not just the artwork, but again, I'm not 100% sure. It's hard to tell, but regardless, no plexiglass is crazy. And really disappointed when I saw that it wasn't there. Now, on to the second most important thing that people want to know about, of course, and that is these spinners. And I am happy to report that the spinners work really, really well. I'll show you guys some gameplay here at the end. That you can even adjust the sensitivity for all the games, which I'll show you in the settings there in a minute. But the spinners all do feel good. The arcade buttons are the arcade buttons we're all used to. These spinners are definitely much better than the spinners that came on the original Atari cabinets that everyone hated and replaced. These spinners are not as good, of course, as my spinners that I have, in my Retro Masters machine that cost a lot more. But these, I don't think I'm gonna replace unless if they break on me. The sensitivity is good. You can zip in around. I don't think anyone's gonna play this and complain. The only way you're gonna complain, I would assume, is if you have something to compare it to and you're gonna be like, yeah, no, my other one feels better, because this obviously isn't gonna feel as nice as the premium ones out there. But they do feel good, and they do its job, and I don't really have any complaints. I don't have any plans to replace these things in any time in the future. So that's good, and all the buttons work. Most important thing is that the spinners work. And of course, the most important thing is the gameplay on this thing, and I'm really, really having a good time so far with this thing. Granted, I've only had it for a day, but I can't wait to have 4 people over and be able to play this machine. If you hit the player 1 button here, it goes back to the main menu. And the gameplay is, the games that you see here on the screen are the games that it comes with, of course. You got Pong, Pong Doubles, Quadruple, Warlords, Pong Sports, Circus Atari, Super Breakout, and Tempest. So if you move the paddle here, you can see that it moves on the screen. And if you just hit the second button when you're hovering over a game, like for example, if I was hovering over Pong, instead of hitting the left button, I hit the right button. It brings me to the settings of that specific game. So you'll see it will bring up the settings here, and you can see that you can adjust the sensitivity. All sensitivity for all the games are at 7, and I think that's a good sensitivity for me so far. Change the points to win. You could change the difficulty for the AI and scan lines and stuff like that, and then you can just hit save and exit when you get to where you want to be. And again, those settings are in there for every single game. Some of the games have less options. Some of the games have more. Like, my main reason of getting this machine was Warlords, and you can see here that this has the cabinet style, this has the music, language, and again, scan lines and resetting high scores if you want to as well. So all the settings are here for you guys, changing the scan lines, changing the sensitivity, which is really important. And this is actually, it came up when I first booted it up, but this was actually done by Code Mystics, and we all love Code Mystics, so that was surprising and also happy to see when I booted this up, because that means that they usually do a good job of emulation and stuff, and I've played all the games so far, and I think they seem to have done a really good job. It seems like the emulation is spot on for everything I've played so far. If we start off with just Pong, for example, right when you start off, of course, it tells you the controls. So Pong is for 1 or 2 players. If you hit 1 player, you'll play against the AI. If you hit 2 players, of course, you'll play against each other. And when you get here, you just press the start button. And then you can see me moving the spinner here. I can't really do this behind the screen without being really bad, but you can see that the dial moves really, really nicely, and I have no issues with the emulation on here. And the only reason I'm losing is because doing this behind the camera and trying to show you guys the spinner at the same time is not easy to do. But you can see the spinner moves really, really easily, moves really well. I mean, this is basic Pong. You guys know what Pong is like. The speakers are loud, as they should be, and you can see how this is working here. It works really, really well. Like I said, the spinner rocks back and forth really smoothly and really with no issues. And And again, you could adjust the sensitivity if you want to. When you're done with the game, you just hold the player 1 button down for a few seconds for it to go back to the main menu. Then it shoots back to the main menu. Scrolling over to Pong doubles. Again, has the 2-player start if you hit this button. If you hit the other button, it's 4-player start. Of course, I'm just going to hit 2-player start for the time being, even though we're just showing you some of the vista right now. If you hit start, then of course you're here. And then, of course, the other person would be moving. The other person would be moving the other one. But again, now you're playing Pong doubles with 2 paddles instead of 1. So you can see how that's working. And it's funny how I'm not even playing against anybody and I'm still losing 3-0. Yeah, goes to show you how well this game is working and how great the games seem to be performing. Back to the main menu again. On to the next one is Warlords. This is the game that I literally got this machine for. 4-player Warlords is exactly what I wanted in the house and what I was missing. I love this game. I have it on my arcade machine, of course, on my main cabinet. But playing this with 4 spinners and 4 people on a table like this, like it was meant to be played, is exactly what I was looking for. And that is the main reason I got this cabinet. And as you can see here how the setup is, you can play against the AI if you want to. I'm just going to hit 1 player. And then you kind of grab a corner. So this player would be this corner. And you can see the game starts. Let me lower the volume a little bit. You can see the game starts there and you're kind of playing on each corner. And look at how well the spinner is moving. You can play Warlords perfectly. I have no issues with the sensitivity on how it's set. And again, you can play with the settings if you want to. But it seems like at 7 is a good happy medium if you want to do that. And of course, this button over here is if you want to catch it too. If I had my other hand available, I can try and catch it. But yeah, this is my favorite game on here and what's going to get the most amount of play. And is definitely going to be the one that all my friends come over and play, because this game has always been fantastic. And now with something like this, it's going to be even better. And thank God that the paddles work as they're supposed to, because you need precision paddles for this to work well. If not, you know. And you can see how you can make small movements with the paddle as well. If I'm just moving it little by little, you can move it really slowly. Now we're playing with the 2 balls coming at us. So yeah, it works really, really well, no matter how fast or how good you're moving that paddle. And again, that one's of course for 4 players. Back to the main menu again. We got Circus Atari. So this is a 1-player game, I believe, correct? Yeah, this is a 1-player game. Or actually, you know what? This may be the game that has different options, yeah. So when you open this up, it's actually showing you a screen. So you actually have to play this way in landscape. So you have to come on the other side of the table, and now you're using the dial over here. Instead of, even though this says 1 player over here for the first player, for games like this, when you launch them, since they're landscape, you can come over here, choose whatever you want. So there are some 2-player games on here, as you guys are seeing, and you can play whichever one you want. For example, if I play the first one here, and then that starts, and then you're playing Circus Atari. Again, paddle works well. I'm not doing well because I'm still looking behind the viewfinder of the camera, but you guys get the idea. This works. It has all the different options here, and plays really well. You're just playing it in landscape mode, so you're not playing it on the player 1 side. You're coming on the other side that only has 1 button. As you guys saw, forgot to mention, player 1 and player 2 have the 2 buttons, and player 3 and player 4 only have 1 button, because that's the only thing you need for the 4-player games. So again, I can exit this if I want by holding the button. Tempest is on here. So this is for 2 players. As you can see, 1 player start or 2 players start. So we're going to hit 1 player here. We're going to hit novice for the time being. Playing spinner with 1 hand. It's always fun. Oh, got killed. I'm not actually this bad. I'm just playing with 1 hand. But you guys get the idea of how Tempest would work on here. Like I said, the spinner, as you guys can see how I'm moving it, does work really well and moves along the board. So no issues with the spinner playing this, and it plays fantastic on here. I have no problems playing Tempest on here. Back to the main menu, Super Breakout. Another 1 to 2 player game. And here you are playing Super Breakout. Works really well. Works exactly as we would all expect Breakout to work on here. Again, you could play with 2 players. Again, you could adjust the sensitivity anytime you want. But that's Super Breakout on here. Pong Sports is another one of my favorites on here as well. Has a lot of different games to play. A lot of different features that you can play with up to 4 players. So it's another 4-player game like Warlords. And when it starts up, you do have to go over here and kind of read the landscape first before you choose an actual game. Just because it's presented in landscape mode. You can see all the different options you have here. They have regular Pong, Super Pong, Soccer, Foosball, Hockey, Quadruple, Handball, Volleyball, Basketball. So, I really like, playing hockey, for example. You can play either 1v1, so you can play with 2 players, as it says there. You could do the 4-player one. You could do handball on here. You could do some volleyball if you want to. So, some really fantastic games that you can play on here. This is another one that's going to get a lot of play on here. So, for example, if this one was the 4-player one I was starting, this is what it would look like. And then you're over here trying to get and scoring the other one. It's kind of like foosball, but hockey. And you're moving your paddle. They're moving their paddle, so they're on your team. But you're both on yellow, and then this team is green. And then the other side is green as well, who's moving their paddle. And you're just trying to score on the other side a goal and do that. So really, really fun. And a lot of different variety on Pong Sports here. This is, again, one of the ones I was really looking forward to, and there's a lot of gameplay on here, and this one's really fun to play with 4 players. So that one's good. Then we got Quadruple here. Again, another 4-player game. If you hit this button like I just did, it would be 2 players. If you hit the other side, it'd be 4 players, just like it said there. So I'm going to hit 4 players just to show you guys what it would look like. And then here you are playing Quadruple. I would be on this side. Everyone's got like an area to defend. Another one that's going to get a lot of play. Another one that's fantastic to play with 4 spinners. So yeah, this one's going to get a lot of play. And then once that person's out, then that side kind of closes. And then the rest of you guys keep playing until there's 1 person left. So again, simple game, but just so much fun to play. Like what these things were, a bar table, playing with your friends when they come over and stuff. And then, of course, the last one back is the regular Pong that we started with. So those are all the games that are on here. And that's kind of a quick overview of what this thing looks like. I think overall, I'm actually, even though I complained in the beginning about some of the things, I'm actually really happy with it because it gives me what I wanted. It gives me a bar top or bar pub table that's the perfect height to play these games. That reminds me going into bars and stuff on what this game looks like. And the spinners actually do work well, which is the most important thing. The games all function really well. The sensitivity has options. Thank God for that. Code Mystics did a great job on here on doing this and setting up all the games. It seems to all work flawlessly as far as that goes. Spinners work well. The actual unit itself looks good. My biggest complaint is not having a plexiglass on here to be able to cover this up, especially because they talked about it in the beginning, and it just, now I'm not going to want to have people put cups on here, that's for sure, because you don't want people to damage this and make a ring on your table on the artwork. So you're not going to be able to have beer sitting on top of this like most people would, unless if you don't care about the artwork, because that's going to be a problem at some point. But that was my biggest complaint about it. I'm still really happy that I got it. I'm really happy to have this as part of the arcade room, or actually in my game room, because it's something different that none of the other machines that I have offer. And it's a lot of fun. And when 4 people come over, we're going to have a fantastic time. Oh, and last thing to mention that I forgot to mention that I didn't even think about is the screen. Is the screen big enough? The screen is perfectly fine. When you're playing Warlords and Pong and stuff, it's fine. Of course, if money was no object, would I have liked the screen to be, even bigger than it is? Yeah, obviously. But that doesn't mean that the screen isn't suffice and doesn't work just as well. Like, I'm not playing this being and every 5 seconds thinking, damn, I wish the screen was bigger. You think about that for a second, you're like, oh, this would be awesome if the screen was bigger, and then you play the games and you're having fun with your friends and you never really think about it again. So overall, even if I'm complaining about those small issues, those, well, not small, but some of my complaints in the beginning, I still think it's worth the price because there's not going to be anything you can get like this for the $550 asking price. If I wanted a table like this that was a pub table that had Warlords and stuff, you know, it's going to cost you over $1,000 at least to find one. So I really, really like that they're going this route, that they're trying new things, not just arcade machines. I actually hope that they continue to do that because I love that this thing exists. I love the Infinity Games table that's sitting here in the corner. I love that they're kind of branching off and doing things that are not just arcade machines. Keep doing arcade machines for all of us that want them, but spring out and do cooler things like this to add things to your game room that are not just arcade machines. And these two products are the start of that, and I hope that they continue that going forward. So guys, that is everything I have to say about the Atari Pong Arcade1up Pub Table. If you guys have any questions about something I may have missed, leave those questions down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.